actually removed myself instead of putting myself in. I forgot I'd already done it. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to JP's Budget Collecting. Another episode of Cash or Trash. And as always, I got my man, Marcus, with me. What's going on?
Time hosting?
First time, yeah. Because I put myself in the stream, and then I got distracted. I did something while the intro was playing, and then I looked back up, and I'm like, oh, I got to put myself in the stream. And I took myself out of the stream.
All nailing on all cylinders.
We're focused and working well today. It's a Monday, we get by. What's going on, man?
I'm excited. We get to relax next weekend for the playoffs, and then things get really, really serious. And
our season is finally starting. Like the preseason is finally over. We finally actually play the games that matter. So that's good.
I think it's going to be a different Chiefs. I expect to have fun these playoffs. Let's go.
I think it's going to be. We'll see. I doubt it's knowing the Chiefs. It's not going to be any walk in the park. We'll make everything close, but
yeah. It would be nice if they just blew everybody out for once. That would be so fun.
That would be amazing. I'm not counting on it.
Absolutely not.
All right, for those that are new to my channel or coming in to watch this, we're not here to talk about the Chiefs. We're here to talk about the hot comics of this last week. If you don't know, if you're new to the show, this is a show where on Saturdays, I put out a video where we look back at hot comics from 6 months ago and see how they're doing in the market now. This is the video where we look at the hot comics of this week and make predictions for what we think is going to happen over the next 6 months or longer, depending on the book and what we want to talk about and that kind of stuff. So we have my man GT Key in here tailgating. We got Indie Comics and Reviews hanging out with us.
I had to bail on my comic book dad for the Friday show. I felt so bad, but
you're just slacker.
I got the bug, man. It's been going around. I got it bad. I was in bed for 3 days, so
that's
sorry I missed the show, Pops.
Well, luckily you're feeling better now, thankfully.
Yes.
It happens to all of us at some point. It happens to all of us. But how do we do this? How do we make predictions for these books? Well, we throw them into some categories that I made up. So, because I thought it was fun. So we got our straight cash homie. These are books that we expect to continue to rise in value. There's usually one somewhere in this list that might go up. Maybe not always, but usually there's one. But most of the time when we talk about straight cash, we're talking about longer term because they're hitting the list for a reason. They're peaking. And, everything's a little bit of a roller coaster in the comic market. We got our Worth It. These are books that are priced about right. They might not be, you might not make any money off these books, but you're not going to lose any money off these books, even though they're hot in the market right now. We got our I'll Be Backs, flip side of that Worth It. The book isn't way overpriced, but you can probably find a deal if you're just patient. We got our It's a Trap. These are books that are going to drop 20, 30, 40% because, they're just fundamentally not going to be worth this much value 6 months from now, a year from now, because whatever's making them be hot is not sustainable. And then, of course, we got our Dumpster Fires. These are books that are going to drop 60, 70, 80% because they just fundamentally are not worth what people are paying for them. They're not nearly as good a book as what people think and will not be able to sustain that. Occasionally we'll throw in a whatever or a few other of my little fun subcategories that I like to throw up occasionally. So with that, let's see. Anybody else jump in here? Phil is in here. Deep House is in here. What is going on, sir?
What up, Deep?
Before we get into this, because I am liable to forget, I do have memberships on the channel now, and I want to shout out those members real quick. So, Old Wolf's still the only man in that Robin tier. We got 7 folks, including my co-host here, are in that Titan tier. I want to thank you all for being members and helping me pay for StreamYard and keep this channel going. So appreciate that to my members. And with that, let's dig into. We got 17 books, so let's dig in and see if we can learn anything this week. All right. Let's see, get my right screen thing. First up, we got a repeat from last week. Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, #1, the Todd McFarlane 1 of 50. And this is actually 3rd week in a row this new cover is on the list. 2 weeks ago, 75 for the 1 of 50. Last week, 125 to 200 for the 1 of 50. This week, 250 to 350 for the 1 of 50. I I know people love Gunslinger Spawn, but I don't get this. What do you got, Mark? What are you thinking, Marcus? What are you thinking?
I mean, obviously at these prices, it is a dumpster fire, but you gotta like there are just Spawn collectors, and they're very serious, and they don't sell. And so this book will maintain value, but it's not going to maintain $250 at $355 value.
No,
so
I mean
we're well into dumpster fire range.
Yeah, I could see this being $150 book in 6 months, but I don't see it being what it's going for now. And I'll be honest, like I said, like some of these hot Spawn covers, when they get hot, they get supernova. Like when the Spawn collectors decide, I gotta have that cover right now, they go supernova, but they have not, for the most part, since I've been doing this list, have not sustained that down the road. Even those that were like limited to 500 or whatever signed McFarlane ones that came out with some of those books held really good value 6 months later, but did not hold the initial value that people were chasing them for. So it became traps and dumpster fires.
If you're buying when it's on its third week on the list, guys, you are way too late.
I talk about the second week peak. The third week is even less sustainable usually. So, all right. Well, we got another Spawn book. We got Spawn 360. This is the Brett Booth 150, so not a McFarlane cover, but McFarlane, apparently this is his return to writing the book. And then so we got the 150 of his return to writing the book. I didn't think it had been that long since he wrote. I thought he wrote some of the stories around 300.
I think he was at 300.
Yeah, I think around there he wrote a couple of arcs, I thought, but still, anytime he comes back to the book, people obviously are interested. But this 150 is going for 80 to 120, which I will tell you means it averages out at about double ratio, which is usually not enough for a 150 to sustain. It usually means it's going to end up between that ratio, double ratio. So we're looking at, I'll be back to trap on this one just based on the typical rules for 150. What do you think, Marcus? Is this one going to buck the rules?
No, I would say probably not. A cool title, but I don't feel like Todd coming back and writing again is that big of a key to really drive value into the future. So definitely not. I'll be back.
I do like this cover actually better than even the Gunslinger Spawn cover. I think this one's a little more dynamic, a little more fun, of course. But I, like you, I have a hard time. And I'm wondering, and I don't know, I did not double check on this, but I would guess there's probably a trade dress of this. That's not the incentive, but I could definitely be wrong.
Yeah, they're dedicated deep.
They're dedicated deep house. That is for sure. There is a group of them that like drive these books, and typically you won't see a ton of these on the market after they get them. Like they don't necessarily come up, but they still don't necessarily sustain these kind of prices either. Once all those main collectors have them. With that, we're going to move back into Mark Spears because we can't go anytime without something Mark Spears. And we got 3 Mark Spears in a row coming up. First, we got second week on Return of the Living Dead. I don't particularly like this cover. I'm surprised of the 2 covers we talked about last week that this is the one that's still here. I
think the zombie guy looks pretty cool.
Regular A cover going 15 to 25. What are your last week? It was like 5 to 25. So we're still down around cover occasionally, but starting to jump up toward that 25 now. It's pretty much sustained in that $15, $25 range. What do you think, man?
It's hard to say. We keep seeing this Mark Spears stuff hit and continue to hit. And usually with these things is people catch wind and they pre-order plenty of copies to where it deflates the price. But it seems to continually, people continue to miss the boat on his stuff, I guess, somehow. And so we keep seeing these books. I like it. It's a nice cover, but it's definitely an I'll be back kind of thing. Well, I will say a real cool thing that Mark Spears has been doing is I've been seeing him appear on some of the comic book YouTube channels. I saw him with Pop Culture Philosophers with an interview that was real interesting. I saw him with Beyond Wednesdays recently. So he's been jumping on and involving himself in this space, and I think that can only help his ability to keep this excitement going, actually. So I'm real afraid to judge these books because I don't understand this Mark Spears phenomenon exactly at this point.
So do you know anything about Lisa's talking about there's drama attached to this book. I did not know there was drama.
I'm missing the boat on this one. Do tell, Lisa.
Yeah,
Lisa is locked in on Spark Spear. So if you
Mark
need to know
Spears, she definitely is. So.
Yeah, if you need to know anything, she got you.
She seems to have the knowledge. So that is something that they didn't mention when they put it on the list again, that there was drama related to this book. So I didn't look for drama when I usually try to avoid drama. So I did not look for drama when I was talking about this.
I don't immediately know what it would be just looking at it. Oh, the company ripped him off.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Oh, so maybe that deflates excitement for the book.
I would actually think that would hurt the book more than help it.
Yeah.
Given that a lot of the drive for these books is the fact that people are really digging his artwork and his work. So if he's like, no, don't, if he's like, don't support that one, I would think that would maybe like make this even more likely to be a trap / I'll be back.
I don't know if there's a lot of principled buyers like that.
I know there's probably not, but it would make me less likely to go after the book, but then I'm atypical. So, as we've well established over the years.
Except.
Another book on the list. We are back. Mark Spears Monsters #1. The cover A is back on the list because the third print came out this week. We'll get to that in a second. 150 to 190 raw copies are up to now, which is just whoa. I'm like, this
for a third print.
Well, this
is a 1 in 20.
Print. Yeah, we're talking about the first print here.
Oh, okay, you're looking at the first. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, we're looking at the first print here. It's back on the list. It has just continued to climb and climb and climb. 9.8, 300. I think I wrote in there. At this point, I've given up. I think, like, I keep wanting to say trap. I even typed it here again. Like, there's just no way it's going to sustain this. I still think we're beyond what's sustainable. I can't imagine this being like, at this point, we're into like what Something Killing the Children is going for these days, for like the variants, at least for cover A. Actually, above
not a #1. Yeah, #1 first print is a lot more than this.
Well, not if you don't have the A cover, like the version and that kind of stuff. We're getting into like.
Okay.
I mean, this is a huge $300 for 9.8, $200 basically, $150 to $200 for a raw copy of a #1. That is a monster number for a modern book. It's absolutely a monster number. So, and he's like, cash, it's cash. Mark Spears Dallas. Damn, Mr. Stark. So, I don't know what to say about this book. At this point, I guess I should just be like, straight cash, just deal with it. It's just what it is.
I don't think we can say straight cash, but
I don't think so either. But so far, it has been. It has been. Like, even when it was like a $50, $60 book, I'm like, come on, what are we doing? Yeah. And it's now.
We were definitely saying I'll be back, and now here we are. Well, we're back, and it's more.
We're back. We're clearly at this point, when we get to the 6 months mark on this first time it appears, I'm going to be wrong. That's where we're at. It's sustaining way longer than that. I'll be interested.
And that's why
the only thing I can think of where a phenomenon where the way this is going, the most recent phenomenon, I should say, with a artist, but obviously he's also the writer on this book, but an artist hitting the scene and people going absolutely batshit for their books, was like those initial Metamorpho books that hit that came out. People went crazy for those initial ones. So, hey, Darth. Shots fired today.
People love me. What can I say? I've said it, but Mark Spears, it's hard to say at this point. It's been going far longer than we expected. The hype is continuing. We're seeing him involve himself in this comic book space, which I think can only help. Yeah. So who knows where this thing is going?
I would still lean toward being patient with these books, but
absolutely.
But at this point, take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I've been wrong so far on Mark Spears Monsters. So that's all I'll say. I still think at some point it's going to start behaving more like a typical book, but clearly I don't know what I'm talking about.
Taking longer than expected.
Yes, for sure. Hey, Rod, what is going on, sir?
Rodney.
So yeah, next we got, this is the third print, which is kind of what prompted this again to be on the list. Third print, 1 in 20, Nightmare on Elm Street homage, going for $75 out the gate. Thoughts on this one?
Man, I should have tried to get some of these. I don't know why I keep missing the boat on this Mark Spears stuff. I love it. You know, I'm a sucker for the homage, that Nightmare on Elm Street. So
yeah,
obviously I'm gonna have to say I'll be back, which, you know, who knows? But I still think it's a great cover. And if you're a sucker for that homage stuff, this is one for you. It's the same thing as the Stray Dogs formula, you know, just hitting those homages and getting paid off of it.
Like you say, get it for 60 from King Spawn. I will say, like, I put this on here, the average is 75. I kind of checked on it, retyped the range, but yeah, it's about a 60 to 85, $90 book. Like, so the 75 average is really sitting pretty close to what this is going for, but there is a little bit of up and down from there. But so yeah, if you can get it toward the 60, you're on the lower end for sure. Mark Spears cover B went under the radar with the Shazam 19.
Another one.
No, same. I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, mistake. I made a mistake.
I think it's too much, but I've been wrong. So yeah, I think I also wonder about third print incentives. Like, is this really the cover that's going to sustain? Because you look at, and I will go back to the Something is Killing the Children example, and like, yeah, the A cover is actually the cover, and then some of those other like variants and stuff don't support nearly as high a value. I feel like this is probably too high for this, but again, I've been wrong on everything Mark Spears. So I would put this as an I'll be back, but take it how you think. So
I think what sustains it is Freddy Krueger. I think people who love that or love this style, the homage to it, and could give it life, but I don't know if it'll give you a $75 life.
Like, never mind, sold out today. There you go. So yeah, it's going. It's happening. I blame Mark. I mean, it is a cool. It's one of the better ones. The way they got Dracula in his hand, like, it works really well. So, all right, we're moving on from Mark Spears to the dumbest reason for a book to be on the list this week. I mean, they didn't really justify this other than this is Amazing Spider-Man number 229. Obviously, this is a somewhat, I don't know if I'd say iconic, but yes, him versus Juggernaut. The Nothing Stops the Juggernaut cover is definitely a well-known Spidey cover. Hitting the list because this week in their 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, whatever event that's going on that I'm not reading because they've pissed me off too much that I don't even reach there anymore. Apparently, Doom has given him part of the Sidorak that now he's like Jugger Spider or something. I don't know. Like, that's going to last like 2 issues at the most. But people are going back to get this issue where he first fights Juggernaut. Make it make sense to me, man.
You know, these things are always silly. You know, sometimes a key will hit the list, and the reason for the key doesn't really make sense. No. And it's one like, oh, Spider-Man got a new armor. Oh, did he really? Wow. Okay. No. You know, there's not a real reason for it to be on the list. It is a cool cover, though. So if you find a nice minty one for 10 or 20 right now, if you really want it, but to think that you're investing in something, I would say that's silly.
Yeah, I think it's a dumb reason to be like going after the book. It's not really that much higher. Like, raw copies at 20, 9.8 at 250. It's not that much out of range from where this book just is, because it is a fairly popular cover from this era of Spidey. So I'd put this as an I'll be back. I just would like not chase it in the moment and just look for your copy at your price. Yeah. Because you'll probably be able to get it, because this is not going to be something that lasts in terms of affecting the price. So,
Yeah, I like it too.
I mean, it's a great ASM cover. So yeah, I mean it's pretty typically a $10 to $20 book. So it's not like out of line where it's setting it right now. So just go find you a nice copy and grab it that way when nobody else is thinking about it. Next, we got Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1. So this is a prequel to the new cartoon that's coming out that's not tied to the MCU in any way, shape, or form, but is like from the same kind of producer. It's not the same writer and stuff because obviously he got in trouble with, or well, they decided to fire him from X-Men 97, but the same producers behind X-Men 97. It's only going for $5. There was just lots of sales. It seemed like a weird one to even be on the list. Any thoughts here other than
Yeah, I mean,
it's cover price.
if you're willing to pay cover price and you want it, I mean, yeah, it's worth it at that price. So I would say worth it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not specking. You're just getting it because you want it.
If you want to read it, but
yeah,
I mean, yeah. I don't have much else to say on this one. Next, we got Death of Superman 75. They didn't really, obviously, also Death of Doomsday at the time. They didn't really explain why this was on the list.
I think Superman hype, obviously, the trailer.
Yes, yeah, with the movie trailer and stuff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Doomsday's in the, isn't that Doomsday in the trailer? Yeah.
No.
Am I tripping? It looked like,
no.
Well, there's that big rock being. And I was like, is that Doomsday?
I don't think so, but I mean, I guess we're not sure. But here's the thing. Like I've been actually thinking about going back and getting a copy of this because I don't have one. I
want one too. Yeah.
So I've been looking to see because I've just been like, okay, when can I find a nice copy for stealing? But I've not made it a priority in any way, shape, or form. So I occasionally just look at values. Right now they're saying raw copies $15, 9.8, 120. That's what this book goes for. So whether it's hot or not, that's just what this book goes for. This is not any different than it's been for like 2 years when I've looked at prices on this book. 2
million copies of this book.
There's 2 million. It is a nice raw copy is going to cost you $10 to $20. A 9.8 is going to cost you $100 to $150.
And I'm sure a large percentage of that 2 million survived to this day because a lot of folks were buying this book thinking it was going to be their retirement fund. So they took care of these books. There's a lot of them.
I mean, I think we're far enough away that that's not, they're talking about the movie, I think, but they didn't really give a specific Doomsday thing, but yeah. Marvel wasn't even trying. I know I was, all right, it's crazy that I've had that forever. I didn't know it was worth anything. Yeah, I mean, they have a little bit of value as long as you're in nice shape. So
yeah, a clean, nice one because it's an old book now. It's been a while.
All right, next we got a couple of Krypto books. One we hadn't seen before, Superman 170, another Krypto cover making the list. I lost my place on my spreadsheet. $10 to $30 for this one. Yeah. Listen, I'll be back. We got the trailer. Never buy at the trailers. It's kind of a vicious Krypto cover, kind of a different one. If I was going to invest in a Krypto cover, this is not the one I would invest in, but that's just me. What do you think?
I like it.
Yeah.
Obviously you'd go for the Alex Ross one first, but I kind of like, because if you think about it, like, just spitballing here. People watch it, and there's a certain person who just really loves dogs, myself included. Yeah. And maybe they just really hits and identifies with their dog. And maybe they name their dog Krypto or some version of it after. And maybe they like doing little Superman photo shoots with their dog, whatever. And like maybe they decide they want this book. So I feel like, this is a buy-in level on a book you can't get the original to. So why not go get a cool cover? I would not do it now, obviously. But
yeah. Everybody's like Krypto. Yeah. Go with the Lucky the Pizza Dog books that went crazy when the Hawkeye show was coming out. What do they just go for now?
Dog people can make it a thing. No,
they still have value, but it's the value they had before the show or any of that.
Yeah. So, it won't increase. I agree.
Yeah. Second the man. There you go. Next, this is the Ross covers back second week. Superman 680. fantastic cover. Again, just not the right time to buy it. $40 raw. So this one's basically doubled from what it was. It used to be a $20 book. Now it's a $40 book. 9.8s are over 100 or over $100 at 125. This is probably going to go back to being that $20 book. 9.8s under $100.
Yeah.
Once we move away from the trailer, so it's an I'll be back. Trap, actually getting into trap range at the current prices, but yeah, you already talked about this one a little bit. Any other
Nothing to add. Yeah.
No. Yeah, Alex Ross still amazing. Yes. Doug did it out of the movie. I don't think I would be surprised that would make a lot of people mad. I mean, if you want to piss off people, don't give them the dog. I mean, don't make them think they're going to get the dog and then take a dog away from them. That's a good way to piss off everyone because there's a lot of people who love dogs. So, it's held up better. The new one's held up better than I thought, Boston J. But
yeah, dude.
I think there is a lifespan in that, but we'll see. Next, we got a little Guy Gardner still hitting the list from that trailer. Green Lantern number 59, first Guy Gardner. I will say, if you watch the Tom video, they gave an average of 600, which makes no sense. They're averaging across all grades and conditions and raw and slabbed and everything else to get that average, but raw copies 50 to 300-ish. So really nice copy went for 300. 9.0 around 870 is the most recent sale on 9.0. This book is up, but not way up from what it is anyway. I mean, we're talking about first appearance of a Lantern from 1968. So at 50 to 300 and 9.0, 800 is not crazy high, even with the trailer, but it is up. It would slide into the I'll be back. Just don't buy it right now because of the trailer, is my thought. Your thoughts on this one, Marcus?
Yeah, I wouldn't have much to add. If you're looking for this book, hopefully you've been looking for it and it's not a trailer thing, but something you've wanted, and you're going to find your price and you're going to pay it. Cool cover. Green's my favorite color, so I really like it.
Yeah. I mean, personally, Guy is like one of my least favorite Lanterns, but if you're interested in this book, this is like we've talked about a lot of things that hit these lists. It's like, reminder to put it on your list, but don't buy right now. It's like, okay, figure out what the price you want to pay for this. Look for your copy, track it down when nobody's talking about it. That's really. All right, next. Little Metamorpho, also in that trailer. Brave and the Bold 57 from 1964. Another Silver Age key DC first appearance. Not a huge character, but 40 to 250 on raw copies. 9.4 went for 3,200, which is getting up there, but you're also talking about a book from 1964 and a 9.4. That's not that crazy high. Again, slides in the same category. Great book. If you want it, just don't buy it right now. Just wait for the right opportunities in your price. Anything to add to Metamorpho?
Yeah, if you're looking for this book, hopefully you've been looking for this book and you know your price and you're going to pay your price when you see it. These are bona fide keys, so I respect it if you're trying to buy at this level, and hopefully you're smart and you pay the right price. But yeah, again, not during a list, not when it's on a list.
I mean, if this is a book that's been on your want list, it means you've probably been looking for it for a while. You've probably been looking for the right price. There's no reason to be like, oh God, they're not going to disappear. They're going to be out there. Continue to wait until you get your right price, which means you may have to wait a little longer, but you can get it. So, all right, next. Seven Soldiers, Frankenstein, number 3, first appearance of the Bride, which I've yet to start Creature Commandos. I keep saying that. I actually started something else tonight instead of Creature Commandos. Randomly, that's just the way I work when it comes to TV shows. But apparently the Bride has been sort of the breakout character of this show, like the people are talking about. This book is now a $30 to $60 book. 9.8s are up to 200. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you like the character, there's going to be a lull where you can come in and get this book for a nice price. obviously you don't want to pay for it now when it's hot.
Yeah. This was a $10 book before this show came around. Now, will it go back to a $10 book? Probably not. It might have not even been a $10 book, honestly. It was probably like a $5 book. Will it go back to that? Probably not. But will it go back to being like a $10 to $20 book when we move away from the animated series? 9.8 is closer to like 100. Yeah. I mean, it's a trap right now. The character that nobody's ever really thought about. She's making a cool appearance in an animated series that have historically, even X-Men 97, characters that appear in those books, like, didn't provide a long-term bump to a character. I don't see it. It may fundamentally change the value of the Bride, but it's not going to change it this much. That it's a $30 to $60 book, 9.8, 200.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not worth it. The whole 4-issue Frank Mini and dollar bin. Yeah. So I don't know that it ever drops truly back to the dollar bin deep house, but it probably gets close. It's probably like a $10 book because now people know it's a key. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, #1, making the list again because we got casting news not related to her, but for the Supergirl movie, we also got a reminder that they did cast Krim, whose first appearance in this is also going to be a character in that movie. But this is mainly hitting the list because James Gunn has claimed that he took a lot of inspiration for the movie from this storyline. Raw copies 30 right now, 9.8, 170. Thoughts?
I'm going to take a shot on this one, and I'm going to say worth it. This book had a baseline of $20 already, so it's only shot up $10. And given I have faith in Gunn, I'm hoping he can do some fun stuff with the DC, make it exciting. And so I'm going to take a shot on this one. If you're paying $20 to $30, you're in the worth it range.
I still think it's probably an I'll be back in terms of, like you said, it was a $20 book anyway. It's not that much above its range. But when I think a lot of times about, like, this is a book I expect to, like, put on the list in 6 months as steady I'll be back, saying, yeah, it's right around the same range, but there's a high enough proportion of the sales are just on the low end that you would have been fine just waiting, finding your right deal. Is kind of the way I would think about this book. Like you said, I don't think it fundamentally like crashes, but I don't know that it goes anywhere. So if you want to say worth it versus I'll be back, I think you're picking at straws at that point. So, all right. Next, we got 3 Lobo books. First up, we got Justice League because we talked about last week, Momoa got cast and everybody was like, where's the Lobo books? Well, the casting came out too late for last week's list. So they're all on this week's list. The only 3 overlapping books between the 2 lists this week are right here. Justice League International #18. And this is basically where the start of where they start changing the look and feel of the character. If you've ever seen him, we'll get to Omega Man 3 here in a minute. When he first came out, he was a very different character than what we know as the character of Lobo now. Basically, this is kind of an intermediate. This book was an intermediate stage in that redesign. That's why it's hitting the list. $5 to $30. Any thoughts here on this one?
Man, I'm tempted to take a shot on this one, but I'm going to say definitely I'll be back again. I think you can probably get it at a cheaper price, but I think that Lobo is going to I think he will get some new audience, some new interest, and it might bring this book up overall in the long term, but in the short term, I think you can get a better price.
Yeah, I think if you're buying this on the low end, if you're buying this in the $5 to $15 range, I think
yes,
it's fine. If you're paying $20 to $30, I think you're probably overpaying. That would be my thought. Yeah. Hey, John, what's going on, sir?
I don't see this book a lot in my travels.
No, you don't see this book a lot. And if you want to know, like, it's paired. It's a 2-part thing, storyline. There's this one, and then the next issue, which is 19. It's Guy is basically looking at. Their positions are flipped. So, yeah. Bisley defined Lobo's look, self-titled comic, and you are correct, sir, and that is the next book we're going to talk about. So this was kind of a intermediate from what he originally was to what he became, but this is where Lobo became the Lobo that we know. Is in the Bisley miniseries. This is Lobo #1, his solo. This is where he became the cigar smoking, bike riding. Well, I guess he always had the bike, but the bike chain, the chain, all of that kind of stuff. Like the look even changed a little bit with the way his eyes and the black marks on his face. Like this is the Lobo that we know in modern comics. This is where the transition or the redesign was complete. 10 to 30, 160 to 200 for 9.8. Still put this for me as an I'll be back, because if we've learned anything over the 6 years I've been looking at these books, it's that your peaks and values come at announcements and trailers. Everything else usually settles in below that. But Marcus, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, you pulled me back with that great point. Now with the announcement is not the good time to buy this book, but I do want this book. And if I saw a nice, clean, minty copy for $10, yeah, you better believe I'm buying that thing.
Yeah.
So at the same thing as before, if you're at the low end, 10 to 15, yeah, and it looks clean. I'd say it's worth it. I mean, all the things that you said, this is what we all understand Lobo to look like. We expect Jason Momoa to look like this guy right here, more so than that last cover we saw, right? So there's all kind more so than the first appearance. So there's all kinds of reasons that I feel like this book has some real pop to it and could really have some value just for this beautiful cover and the look.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, this is the first appearance of the Lobo we know.
Yes.
Like Lobo existed before then, but he was not this character until here. But I just put that because the values haven't went crazy from what they've been, I would just slide this as an I'll be back. Wait a couple months, people won't be thinking about it as much, and you probably can find a deal. I mean, you may have to wait till after the movie, but I would guess you can find a decent deal. Now, there is a chance that this book takes off from here and goes into the trap range. But at the moment, you would be fine in the lower portion of this range. So, all right, next. Here it is, Omega Man #3. As you can see, he looks very different when he first appeared. 1983, first appearance of Lobo. 80 to 150 for raw copies, which is not... This was more of a 40 to 100 kind of dollar book in terms of raw, but it's not. I mean, it's shifted, but it's not a huge jump in raw values. 9.8 up to 450, which is a pretty good jump. It was more of a $300-ish book, but again, peaks and values tend to be announcements and trailers. I'd slide this into I'll be back, or just, look for it. See if you can find a deal, which you probably won't for the next week or two. But thoughts?
Yeah, get you a Lobo #1 and go ahead and I'll be back on this one for sure. Yeah. I would be much more interested in snagging that last book as opposed to this book. This is obviously a great book to have, but now is not the time to buy this book.
Yeah, 99 cents back in the early 90s, 30 years. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good investment, Clyde.
Yeah, so, well done.
Yeah, for sure. So that's this week's list. We obviously had lots of Momoa, no surprise there, and lots of Mark Spears, no surprise there anymore. So, any final thoughts, Marcus?
No, that list ended up being more fun than I thought it would be. I was looking at this list like, what are we going to say? But actually, it was better than I thought.
Yeah. Anything coming up you want to pitch real quick?
Oh, Tuesday night, I will be back for the first time. Beckerman hosted last week, and it was interesting. But we're back to the normal show tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Wait. Normal?
Yes, normal. Your normal. I will be bringing back the chill, as opposed to whatever it was that Beckerman did.
Whatever it was Beckerman. I mean, it was Beckerman. He was putting his own spin on it. But yes, there wasn't as much chill. So, for sure.
I'll be back with my comic book dad Lorenzo tomorrow or Wednesday night for another new comic book day show as always.
Nice.
So
Nice.
looking forward to that.
Well, I don't know that I have anything for sure coming up this week. My usual stuff next weekend. But I may try to add a video or something this week, but I'm not sure if it'll happen or not. So,
and if you want to see JP run from no vampires like a scared little chicken, you go watch White Whale Comics and watch them play Dungeon, man.
We were trying to be strategic.
I'm so disappointed in them.
Well, the problem is we keep fighting that guy and he keeps running away. He hurts us and then he runs away and we can't kill him. He turns to mist and flees.
Well, I
So
mean,
that's
Tickles can handle it.
Yeah, no, he could. All right. One final shout out to my members again. Now that I have channel memberships, we'll put them on there one more time. Old Wolf, Circumstances, He Remains, Big Compton, Blue Collar Dan, Lisa, Cliff, and Clyde. Thank you all for being members. Some of you were benefited from John doing some free memberships, but I appreciate that either way. And with that, we are going to get out of here. So later, everybody. Wait, there's the outro.